level of panic is rapidly rising throughout the mainstream media. The era of sympathy is over. The era of being given millions of dollars because you belong to a marginalized group, those days are ending. When he was campaigning last year, the Trumper promised that America would be returning to a merit-based society. Now, I had no doubt that Donnie would fulfill that promise, but I'm somewhat surprised that the woke media is doing the same. And the reason I say I'm somewhat surprised is because we all knew this was coming. I have been telling you guys for years, there would come a point where these underperformers would either step up or step aside. There would come a point when you could no longer rely on your pretend friends. You could no longer rely on your woke faith. You could no longer rely on your dedication to Wiener. At some point, you will be expected to perform, and that time is now. These networks, they do a great job at pretending. They are experts at pretending to care. We are fighting for the rights of Trans Dan. We are proud to be the primary sponsor in the Gay Pride Parade. We are donating millions to Planned Parenthood to fund abortions for masculine patients. The networks are proud to taste the rainbow when it's financially beneficial, but as soon as it starts costing them millions of dollars, their weekly ties to woke United Methodists suddenly disappear. Earlier this morning, Bobby Burek over at Outkick, he published a great article about Pablo Torre and the originator of the term huge embarrassing failure, Bomani Jones. Several years ago, Pablo and Bobo, they co-hosted a show on ESPN called High Noon. I believe their first guest was Bob Greiner, who's not only high at noon, she's high at midnight as well. Unless, of course, her stash has been confiscated by Vlad Pooter. Like everything else Bomani Jones is associated with, the show was a huge embarrassing failure. High Noon didn't translate to high ratings. Matter of fact, Pablo and Bobo set record low ratings in 2 different time slots. When the show was inevitably canceled, Bomani Jones went on a press tour blaming Pablo Torre for this record-setting failure. Obviously, it wasn't my fault the show was a failure. Everyone loves me. I'm Bomani Jones. According to the original failure, the show didn't work out because Pablo Torre was impossible to build chemistry with. Fast forward 5 years later, Pablo Torre has now built a respected platform here on YouTube. He's done some great work with investigative journalism, constantly appears on MSNBC, fills in on PTI whenever Mike Wilbon's on vacation. Now, don't get me wrong. Pablo Torre is still a far-left doofus. I'm sure he believes that the earth is on the verge of spontaneous combustion every time he farts. But like I say all the time, I don't have to agree with you politically to respect your work. I don't have to agree with you to enjoy your content. Pablo Torre has busted his ass. He's put in the work, and I respect his success. Meanwhile, Bomani Jones continues to blame everyone else for his failure, and he continues to be a huge embarrassing failure. Bomani Jones, The Wicked Weed, Joy Reid, Jamel Hill, Tiffany Cross, Stevie Colbert. These are all underperformers whose careers have met their demise. But there's another underperformer who will soon be joining them in the unemployment line. You could make the case that she is the king of underperformers, Gayle King. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Link to the second channel is in the description below. Earlier today on the second channel, talked about Deion Sanders not being wanted at training camp in Cleveland. I explained why Shedeur Sanders doesn't want Daddy Deion at training camp. We also discussed Shedeur Sanders being ranked dead last on the depth chart and whether he will even be on the 53-man roster here in a few weeks. After the video was published, the Browns announced that Deion Sanders would be the starting quarterback for their first preseason game, which was surprising since 24 hours ago, he was the worst quarterback in training camp. These next 2-3 weeks, this could be make or break for Deion Sanders. We talked about all of it earlier, so if you haven't already, click the link in the description below, subscribe to the second channel. Headline at the New York Post: Gayle King's future at CBS murky as ratings for woke morning show tank. Again? Gayle King is going to be fired? Again? Well, Casey, what do you mean again? She's been hosting CBS This Morning since 2012. The show is amazing! 2 years ago, Mama Gayle was fired by CNN. Remember that turd that she was polishing with Charles Barkley? CNN vastly overpaid Gayle King, thinking there was no way she couldn't draw an audience with Charles Barkley. He's one of the easiest people in television to work with. You put Charles Barkley on the screen, people are automatically drawn to him. Unless, of course, he's sharing the screen with Gayle King. The debut episode of this polished turd, least watched debut on CNN in over 10 years. On a network that can't draw ratings, Gayle King set a new record for low ratings. After a handful of episodes, CNN decided to just cut their losses and they fired Gayle King. They essentially paid her $12 million to go away. At a network filled with mistakes and bad decisions, firing Gayle King was one of the very few smart decisions that CNN has made. And now, CBS is looking to emulate the brilliance of CNN. Last year, for reasons unknown, CBS signed an extension with Mama Gayle. If the extension had included Oprah, I could understand it. Hell, if Gayle promised to feature Oprah's boyfriend Steedle, I could somewhat understand it. But CBS agreed to pay Mama Gayle $15 million a year, and no one can figure out what she's being paid for. CBS This Morning: it has been last place in the ratings for years. In the last 3 weeks, ratings have declined by 30% in the 25 to 54 demo. Why? You got to remember, this is morning television. Morning shows are supposed to be upbeat, vibrant. They're supposed to be fun, something positive to start your day with. What does CBS This Morning present their dwindling audience to start their day? Shauna Thomas is the executive producer of this dump. She is protected by Gayle King for now. A couple of years ago, executives at CBS, they demanded that Shauna Thomas make the show more appealing to middle America. Translation: make it more appealing to white people, mainly white moms who are the primary demographic for these shows. Instead of listening to her bosses, the people signing the front of her woke welfare check, Shauna Thomas and Gayle King, they ignored them. They wanted to create a show that was attractive to black people along with identifiers in the LGBT community. My inside sources are telling me they also cater to the + and the @ identifiers. Back in March, they interviewed Bob the Drag Queen. Bobby Queen was coming off a big win on RuPaul's Drag Race, and the Queen had the pleasure of speaking with Gayle King. Bobby was also promoting his book, Harriet Tubman, live in concert. According to Gayle King, this is a gender-bending story where the historic icon appears in modern-day America to tell her story through a rap album. I'm sure Harriet Tubman would be thrilled. I'm sure when she was fighting for civil rights, it was her dream to have her story told by a drag queen. According to an insider at CBS, Gayle King has alienated a large portion of the audience. No shit. Not only are viewers disgusted with the woke programming, but according to the CBS insider, viewers also feel alienated because most of the anchors on the show aren't white. Those aren't Uncle KC's words. Those words are coming directly from CBS. But it makes sense. Think about this logically for a second. When you think of morning television, when you think of Good Morning America, the Today Show, what demographic is watching? It's not me. It's not 40-year-old white dudes. It's not black men. It's not men, period. We're at work. Most dudes don't give a shit about Rachel Ray's latest recipe or some doofus flying around in a hot air balloon. The primary demographic for these morning shows is women. Mostly women with children, moms, grandmothers. Granny watches the Today Show, then she watches The Price is Right. After that, she watches General Hospital, or as Granny prefers to call it, her stories. Gayle King has hijacked the show, and she has alienated her primary demo to target a demographic that typically doesn't watch morning shows on broadcast television. Is it any wonder? Is it any wonder why she's about to be fired? Her contract runs through May of 2026. I doubt Gayle King makes it through the length of the contract. I would not be surprised if Gayle King was fired tomorrow. Well, Casey, how can you be so sure? CBS just merged with Skydance. For years, Gayle King has been protected. She's been allowed to fail without consequence because CBS was dedicated to diversity. Now, Skydance is coming in and they are promising to get rid of left-wing bias. Translation? They're eradicating the woke fungus. Now, whether or not they follow through, that remains to be seen. But it's irrelevant for Gayle King because she's getting fired either way. Why would they continue paying her $15 million a year to finish in last place? Why would they pay her $15 million to lose 30% of the target audience? It's over. The days of being paid to underperform are over. You either step up or you step aside. And if you refuse to step aside voluntarily, you will be pushed aside. Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys tomorrow.